What's going on, guys? Welcome to Move Better Mondays, episode 8 of Move Better Mondays with Bob Cohen. Today, we are going to be kicking things off on this new kind of trend and subject that I want to try to venture into, which is knee pain. Now, knee pain is something that has been around for years, decades, centuries. This time I actually checked. And it's something that really is common amongst athletes. Now, the reason knee pain is common amongst athletes is because generally what they're doing is they're trying to put their body through something it's not ready to handle. Now, one of the major sources of knee pain is something called patellofemoral syndrome. Now, patellofemoral syndrome is a very fancy word for a tendonitis in the knee, which is a very fancy word for something's not working properly in the knee. Specifically, that basically the tendon that kind of runs over that kneecap, and what that's causing is that's causing a little bit of an irritation in that tendon, and that is causing inflammation and poor function. Now, that pain that you feel is often something that can be attributed to the way you're running, the way your body moves. It could be related to the amount of repetition, so the mileage that you're putting on your body. And so for the rest of this segment, what I really want to talk about is runners, because I think this is something that's really popular amongst them. Now, this does carry over to athletes like soccer players, hockey players, football players. Any sport really will deal with it because you're going to be moving a lot and you're going to be using your legs. You will be potentially prone to feeling knee pain through patellofemoral syndrome. Now, one of the things I definitely wanted to talk about today and kind of adjust or kind of change up a bit from the previous episodes, so I want to give you guys kind of a breakdown list of what we could do and exercises, repetition, sets, and reps. So it's something that's a little bit more practical for you to put together to use on a daily basis. I really want to list this stuff out for you because I want you to try to apply it and I want you to get as much benefit as you can from it. So the first step you really want to pay attention to, and the first thing you really want to do, is release that muscle. Now, you want to target the muscles that are going to be the prime contributors to that knee pain. And some of those muscles are the inner knee muscle, the inner thigh muscle here, which is the VMO. It's one of the quad muscles, not really important which one. It just is right there. So it's basically like that teardrop muscle. The other one we're going to be looking at is the tensor fasciae latae, which is right up here at the hip. Now, what's actually happening is, I want to draw this out for you to kind of get an idea of it, is that when this muscle and this muscle start taking over, what ends up happening is this guy's going to pull the knee in. This one is actually going to allow it to move in. And once it gets to this position and everything gets really tight, when you try to drive that knee up or pull that knee up, you're basically pulling it in like this. And when you pull it in from that bent position, this muscle starts working a lot more. And what that's causing is that's causing your kneecap to not glide straight, or as straight as we'd like it to be. So when the kneecap's not gliding straight, you're actually causing a lot more stress on that tendon. That's what's causing the pain. You wanna make sure that when you are dealing with knee soreness and knee pain, or any type of pain really, is that you don't just sit there and try to hammer through it or push through it, because what's gonna happen is your body's gonna start trying to figure out another way to function, so it kind of dodges and kind of sidesteps that pain. Now, if you sidestep that pain to try to keep moving, you're probably gonna start noticing pain in the back. You might start noticing pain in the foot. You might start noticing pain in the shoulder even, because it can really work its way up your entire body, because you're trying to manage that pain and manage those movements to make your body continue to function, continue to move, continue to do exercise without that pain. And you never want that. Now, a little disclaimer here, this may not be your issue. If you have knee pain, it may not be your issue. Sometimes a patellofemoral syndrome can be disguised as a bunch of other things. You could have a meniscus issue. You could have a inflammatory issue that's not just related to that tendon. So you wanna make sure that you're getting this scanned if these couple of things that we're doing aren't fixing it. Now, the number one contributor to that pain being relieved is probably gonna be the foam rolling. It's gonna be the one that's gonna help relax the muscles that are under a lot of stress and that are kind of allowing that movement to happen. But the second step you really wanna focus on is stretching that issue out and then activating the appropriate muscle. So now that we got ourselves set up, let's get right into the first step, which is rolling, foam rolling, specifically this muscle and this muscle right here, which is the VMO and tensor fasciae latae. We will need a couple of things for that. We will need a foam roller and a baseball or lacrosse ball, basically anything about this size. A tennis ball is a little too soft, so you'll probably crush it when you line it. So let me show you guys what we need to do with these. So the first muscle we want to roll is that VMO, which is right on the inside here. We want to lie on top of it and break down that tissue. And before I go on, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button. And this way you can actually keep up to date on when my next clip will be coming up, which is going to be part 2 and part 3 of this knee rehab segment, okay? So let's get right into this one. The first thing you're going to want to do is basically lie on the ground. So what you're gonna do from here is line up this foam roller along with your body. So if I'm basically straight like this, I want the roller to be parallel with my body, basically at the level of my hip. Now what this is gonna allow me to do is when I bring my leg up and drop it on top, it's gonna allow me to essentially just rock my body up and down and allow this leg to kind of roll over that foam roller. Now, I'm not gonna really go any further than this midpoint of my thigh, but just being on it like that, you'll actually start noticing a bit of soreness. So if you do notice an area that's sore, spend a little bit more time there. It doesn't have to be crazy long. You don't have to sit there for 20 minutes, but you wanna spend some time kind of working through that area that you're going to feel some soreness in. So what I like to tell individuals to do is start with your leg, or your foot flat on the ground. If you notice my foot's flat on the ground, and then as you go through it, you're basically going to use your foot to kind of guide you to pivot upwards, and it's going to allow you to get a little bit, basically a little bit more anterior, a little bit more of the front of the muscle by turning your leg up and getting a different angle. And that's what you really want to do. Because the muscle is so big, we want to make sure that we're hitting the entire thing. So you're going to start by basically just going midway and then coming back down. Now, this doesn't mean you can't go all the way up the leg and come all the way down. That's going to hit other muscles. You should be foam rolling every single day. You should be doing this regularly. You should be hitting as many of these muscles as possible. But what I want to do is give you those 2 areas that you absolutely want to hit that are probably contributing to the majority of your knee pain. So from here, just rolling up and down, getting it to lift up and get a little bit more of that angle. The area that you really want to hit that's going to be kind of collecting a lot of that tension is going to be basically what we like to call that teardrop area, which is right here, which is basically that rounding area right near the knee. So you can also use a ball. If you don't have a foam roller like this, basically one of these little things, you can use a not a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball or a baseball, which is gonna work just fine for this. Essentially just drop it down, place the knee down on it, and you're essentially gonna do the same thing, just rolling around on it. Now there is a significant difference in total tension from this to this. This is a lot more precise, so it's a very pointed area, so it's gonna target a specific spot of that muscle, so there's gonna be a lot more pressure. It's basically like comparing if an elephant steps on your foot with a big surface or a 100-pound girl steps on your foot with a high heel. The 100-pound girl is going to hurt a hell of a lot more because she's putting all of her pressure on one specific spot. Same goes for this. Now what you're going to do is, I only know because it's happened to me before. Now what you're going to do is you're basically going to be rolling, not the elephant, the girl. That would have been a really funny story though. But basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be rolling the inside of your leg with that ball, and you're going to be basically getting a little bit more of a specific area. So you're going to be hitting the muscles that you need to. You're going to be able to spend a little bit more time in there. But again, this is a little bit more advanced. You can get away initially with just this because if you are dealing with knee pain, there's probably so much tension built up that you really don't need to do that much to get a significant amount of relief, and then gradually work your way up into this. Now to target that muscle, what you need to do is you basically need to bend your hip, and then where your hand hits that fold in your hip, once you extend it, you're gonna slide out just a bit. It's only about 30 degrees, it doesn't have to be too much, and that's where you're gonna place that ball. So I'm gonna pivot around on this side so you can see, I'm basically just showing you what I'm gonna be doing all on my left leg. So you could assume that if you have it on the left leg, you can follow the same pattern. If it's the right leg, just flip and do the complete opposite. So take that ball, lift up. Once you've found where that fold is, you're gonna find that muscle, and you notice that I'm not completely flat. I'm basically just turning just a bit. I'm kind of bringing my hips down just a tiny bit, and essentially that's gonna be enough to just kind of get me into that angle. Now, for me, this area isn't sore because my knee isn't bugging me, but if you have knee pain, generally speaking, you will be feeling it right around there. Now there's a chance that you don't feel it in either this muscle or this muscle. That could be a potential cue that you may not be dealing with patellofemoral syndrome, because the majority of cases will be dealing with those 2 spots that are gonna be very sensitive this could cue you into there might be something else going on. Not always the case, but highly unlikely that you will be not feeling any soreness in that muscle or in this muscle when you do have patellofemoral syndrome. I know I keep repeating that. I just want to make sure that you're not just kind of going into this blindly thinking that, oh, I have knee pain, it must be patellofemoral syndrome, duh. No, it has to be very distinct. So you need to make sure that this and this area are feeling it. That's a higher likelihood of patellofemoral syndrome, and you will probably feel a significant amount of relief just from doing these two. But again, it doesn't mean that the problem's completely gone. You still need to do steps 2 and 3, which are gonna be coming in the next 2 weeks. Again, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button down here. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button, and I will see you guys next week. I missed that. Let me do that again.